Hello guys, and we are here today with another very awesome deck. We are here today with some Dark Magician support because some new Dark Magician cards came out and I find that to be amazing. Dark Magician is always a fan favorite in this game, and I have decided to tech in the spellbooks. As you can see, all this spellbook type stuff is in here because I thought that would be pretty interesting, increasing your attack and being able to do everything. And I find that this deck is maybe even better than what I see a lot of people run, which is Prisma and just like Turbo Dark Paladin. I almost said Dark Voltaire for a second, but no, this is more of a spellbook focusing on. You're still playing Dark Magician, so you can still do stuff, and it's still very much the same deck. You have your 3 Dark Magicians, you want to get them in your hand or in your graveyard, and you have your Magician's Wand to search out your Dark Magic Circle, and then 3 Eternal Soul, so that way you can use Dark Magic Circle to banish stuff. And so it's pretty much the same deck, and I think this deck is even better because it has more banishing power with Fate. So I want to go into the spellbook engine first to describe how everything works. Temperance is our Prisma of this deck, because if you activated a spellbook spell card previously this turn, you can tribute him to summon out a level 5 or higher. You cannot summon out any other level 5 or higher, but hey, you can get out 1 Dark Magician, which could result in you being able to banish a card, which is pretty nice. You could end up, if you have another one, like if you activated this card first and you have summoned one from your hand or grave, and then you can make this guy after you attack and everything, and then have a floater and a card that allows you to activate quick play spell cards from your hand, which is pretty nice. So this is our Prisma of the deck. It sometimes has some inconsistencies because you might not have a spellbook spell card, but that is pretty rare. In all honesty, you tend to have a spellbook spell card. If necessary, you can always waste a power, just target a power, all that. The only ones that'll really might clog would be Master, Eternity, or Fate, because you can always activate, your secrets are always live because you should have something to search, so you can activate them, you can activate this, and you can activate Star Hall, and they will be all good to go. And Prophecy, he is a spellbook card. Do note that he is a spellbook card, and he searches a spellbook spell card, so he's pretty much another secret, which is really great for the deck, just being able to search more. When it comes to all this searching and everything, what you want to end is with one of 2 cards. If you have this guy, you're most likely going to be searching out Fate, because with Fate, what's awesome is if you have 3 spellbook cards in your graveyard, you can banish 3, and then do not target. It does not target. It's like a Trishula. Banish 1 card your opponent controls. So that's really great because it gets around a Cosmos. So it's like, oh, bye bye Dark Destroyer, bye bye Forerunner. So that's pretty nice. The second effect is you can banish 2. Change 1 monster on the field to face down defense position or face up attack position, and that's great because this guy gets his effect when flipped face up. So you summon him, get a search, your opponent goes to attack, you flip him face down, and you should be able to get off 2 searches. If necessary, you could always go secrets into power and then waste the power, and then well, no, because then you wouldn't have this guy. If you had the power, you might be able to run over something, you'd add 1500 and then do that, or if you can get off Master, that would be good. But if you cannot get off Master, because Master requires you to A, control a spellcaster type monster, and B, reveal another spellbook spell card in your hand, but most of the time you should be able to, so don't sound like this deck is highly inconsistent. It isn't. You guys will see in the duels that this deck is pretty well consistent. Then if you get the 2, then you can just flip them face down, get off another search, probably search Eternities, and then next turn, search out secrets. Add the secrets that you banished with Eternity, and then use this to either add another Fate, your second Fate, or this card. And this is the second card that you want to search. If you can get both, then that's great, but this is definitely a card that you want to search. So if you don't have the ability to go for a Fate's play, you don't have Spellbook, you cannot get 3 in grave, maybe you have this guy, or maybe you don't. You want to end with this card because this card makes the deck even more consistent, like crazy consistent, because it allows you to put your spellbook cards that are in your graveyard on the bottom of the deck and then draw 1 card. So it doesn't shuffle the deck, and that's honestly good, really good, because of Dark Magic Circle. So if you guys don't know what Dark Magic Circle does, When you activate it, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal one Dark Magician or spell/trap card that lists Dark Magician in its text. For some reason, DevPro won't let me add an Eye of Timaeus, despite the fact that it says target Dark Magician. And then you can place the other 2 on the top of your deck in any order. And that's really nice because it helps with the upstarts, you being able to draw in what you want, but also the Grand Spellbook Tower allows you to draw into what you want. You've decided what order you want them in, so even if you don't see a Dark Magician, that's just really great because it just allows you to draw into the 2 cards. Maybe you revealed this guy, or maybe you revealed some of your other spellbooks, so now you can stack your deck, and that just becomes amazing and very, very useful. So of course, when it comes to the engine, again, you just want to either search out Fate if it's viable. If you cannot get it to be viable, then you're going to go for this guy for just even more consistency. And then we also are running Star Hall. You can take this guy out if you don't like him. I find him decent for the most part because it just adds counters and increases your monster's attacks, and it just becomes ridiculous at one point because of all the cycling and all the consistency. And once you get your engine going, it just keeps on going, unless your opponent just does something crazy, like if you're facing Draco Pals. This deck is by no means highly competitive, so you will have trouble facing Draco Pals. Cosmos are beatable, and Fate doesn't target, so you can get around March, so you can do pretty decent against Monarchs, although Draco Pals might be difficult. It also has the second effect where if it is sent to the graveyard, add a spellcaster type monster from your deck to your hand whose level is less than or equal to the number of spellcasters that were on this card. So that can be a quick way to either search out Magician of Prophecy or Temperance of Prosody. And don't forget that Spellbooks Tower, Grand Spellbook Tower, also has the effect where you can summon a spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck whose level is less than or equal to the number of Spellbook spell cards. So the only good one would really be Dark Magician, but you're probably not going to have 7, and because Rod won't get his effect, he won't get his effect, and he won't get his effect. So not the greatest effect, but hey, floats. Can't complain about getting out more monsters. So now let's go into the Dark Magician engine. The Dark Magician engine is pretty simple. You have this guy who, when normal summon, adds a spell trap card that lists Dark Magician in its text from your deck to your hand. And during your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell trap card effect while this card is in your graveyard, contribute a spellcaster type monster, add this card to your hand. So pretty well. Once you see one, you can see multiples, which is really great. And just constantly get out all of your dark magic circles. And so you get him, you get this guy. Hopefully you've done enough deck thinning with your Dark Magician stuff where you can reveal, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then hopefully you get Eternal Soul, and hopefully you have access to a Dark Magician and the whatnot. And also with Eternal Soul, what Eternal Soul does, once you get that card, is you can use a special Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard, does not target, or add a Dark Magic attack or 1,000 knives from your deck to hand. So even more searching. So you guys should hopefully be seeing just how consistent this deck should be with how it can get rid of cards, how it can draw into cards, how it can stack your deck, how you can search for more cards. And the other effect that makes this so great is Dark Magician in your monster card zone are unaffected by your opponent's card effects, which is really great because people are like 101 Ignister, do a whole bunch of stuff, and then it's like, oh right, he's unaffected, they can't get open. You can still increase his attack, which is awesome because I'm glad that it doesn't say unaffected by card effects, but unaffected by your opponent's card effects. So that's pretty great. Unfortunately though, this card leaves the field, destroy all monsters you control. Pretty unfortunate, but hey, if it doesn't, you can constantly summon out Dark Magicians if you have multiples, and then that can just be a once per turn banish. You can actually summon into this guy and you can banish more stuff. So you're seeing a lot of banishing here with Fates, with Dark Magic Circle, and if you really get going, you can get this guy out and do just a whole bunch of banishing, and your opponent probably won't be able to respawn. They won't be able to play against that, which is just kind of crazy. Just crazy how over multiple turns your opponent just loses stuff. It reminds me of DDDs with Witch, how just over multiple turns you just out-resource your opponent. And then of course, Dark Magic Attack, the last card that we can search with this entire engine. If you control Dark Magician, destroy all spell trap cards your opponent controls. So really glad that it's not a Heavy Storm, that it's a Harpy's Feather Duster. Just kind of, again, out-resource your opponent. They just don't expect it and then you win. And this card again, it's bugging. Dark Magic Circle won't allow you to add it to your hand, but you can tribute or fusion summon using Dark Magician to make either Amulet Dragon or Dark Paladin, and I'll get over the extra deck in a bit. So hopefully you guys understand everything. Of course, we're also running 3 upstarts and 2 Summoners Art and a Foolish Burial to try to have more consistency getting into our Dark Magicians for our Eternal Souls. They will conflict with Temperance because if you see too many, of course these guys become dead. If you run out of Dark Magicians, you go into 2 or whatever, you use this, and you go into another Temperance and you have no more Dark Magicians. Foolish Burial. Start Foolish Burial using Foolish Burial on Temperance because you don't want to see it at that point. So that is it for the deck. Really great. The 2 engines work really well because of course you can always target your Dark Magicians with power and then get a search off or a spellbook spell card, so then you can get your Eternity or your Fate and then you should be able to banish stuff, and then hopefully you can also have Eternal Soul and be able to summon stuff and banish more stuff. So the deck is pretty decent. Now you guys might be noticing that this deck doesn't have a lot of extra deck because this deck can only make rank 7s, rank 3s, although it shouldn't be XZ summoning with Temperance because you're using him to get this guy. And if you do use this guy, you cannot summon out other monsters at a level 5 higher. You can still Z summon, so you can summon like Draco Sack and Big Eye and these guys, but you can't use this guy. And this is the guy you mainly want to make. And of course, you could also make rank 2s, but you're not going to have 2 Magicians out. So let's go over the effect. Amulet Dragon, interesting enough, it banishes all spell cards. You target them and it banishes all of them in both players' graveyard, which is interesting. And it gains 100 attack for each, which is pretty decent. And then it floats as well. You can, if it leaves the field, if it's destroyed, target a spellcaster type monster in your graveyard and special summon it. It will set up for Eternity plays. This is a card that you do not want to banish. Just whatever you do not banish this for Fates, because if you do, your entire engine will collapse. This is the only Eternity you run. And if you guys don't realize what Eternity does, it targets one of your banished spellbook spell cards and you add it to your hand. So if you banish it, you can't add back secrets. And honestly, it's just kind of great because you banish stuff, you flip him, and then he gets a search off for your Eternity, and then you draw, and then you put this back in your deck, and you get another card, and then go Eternity. You can either search out this card, or search out power, or search out this, and just crazy what you can do. So of course, do not banish Eternity, whatever you do. And Dark Paladin will negate spell cards by discarding cards, so if you have a lot of monsters in your hand, that can be pretty decent to do. Of course, you can always discard stuff that you can't use, such as maybe you have a Star Hall that you just couldn't use for whatever reason, or a Master that you can use, or something like Eternity, which can also set up for your towers if you have a tower out and nothing in your graveyard. So discarding stuff doesn't hurt, just negates spells, helps out against the Draco Pulse matchup, being able to stop them from XZ summoning. And of course, he gains 5 attack for each Dragon type monster on the field or in either player's graveyard. And then of course for rank 7s, all the generics, Red Eyes, Mecha Panda Beast, Big Eye, and then Ebon Illusion Magician, who can detach to summon out another Dark Magician. So there you go, there's another Dark Magician, another banish. And if a normal monster attacks, a spellcaster type normal monster attacks, you can target one card your opponent controls and banish it. So that's 3 cards I can banish in this deck on 1, 2, and 3. So really great. And you can only use that effect though once, because otherwise it would be, oh, XZ summon one from deck, I detach or use Eternal Soul, banish, and then banish 2 more cards, and that would be crazy. And plus you could use this possibly, and then this is a card that you might make when you're looking to float. If you maybe use this guy and you already have one on the field, you can XZ summon into this guy, Ebon, and he has an interesting effect. And I find it interesting because when I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I thought you could activate quick play spell cards from your hand during either player's turn anyways. But he allows you to actually do it. I was wrong. You have to set your MSTs if you want to use them. You cannot just drop them from your hand. I still kind of disagree with that rule. But anyways, you can detach an XYZ material. Well, it does. It's kind of inherent. It does not start a chain link. But you do have to detach an XYZ material, and allows you to use quick play spell cards and trap cards from your hand, which is pretty interesting. Not the greatest thing because this deck doesn't have a lot of quick plays or a lot of traps. But if this card is sent to your graveyard, or if this card is by battle or by card effect, you can special summon a dark spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck, then destroy 1 card on the field. Pretty decent, although it's bugged. There was only one time where I actually made him, and then I was like, oh, he's just gonna attack with Dark Destroyer. He did, and I didn't get the effect. No, he didn't attack with Dark Destroyer, he popped him with Dark Destroyer, and I was like, I'm gonna be able to pop Dark Destroyer because this guy doesn't target, and then it never prompted me, so it's bugged. Thank you, Death Bro. But anyways, that's honestly not too big of a problem if you want to play the deck right now, because it definitely works. There have been a couple of bugs, like there's been a couple of times when it's prompted me, like I've had Fate face down and was like, oh, do you want to activate Fate, or do you want to activate Dark Magic Circle? And I had the yellow box around Dark Magic Circle, and I was like, I should not click that, because that would result in either a bug and an error, or something else. So I didn't activate that, of course, because, well, you can't activate this card just whenever, just had a yellow box around him. And so a little bit buggy, but overall the deck is, as far as what it should be doing, pretty decent. I find the deck to be fun, not too competitive, but very casual. So hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Wow, my deck profiles are getting long, I need to fix that. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later, bye.